So it's gotten colder out, so I'm making a little fire, burning a little trash, maybe making a little marshmallows. But you know, every time I smell a campfire, it brings back memories of our house fire over 20 years ago. And I thought today I'd share my story with you. That smell of burning wood, I think it's etched into my olfactory memories. Always reminds me of our house fire. At the time, we were living in the house of our dreams. It was a 1920s Tudor home that had been added on at various stages. At one time, it was a mansion. It occupied, I don't remember if it was 10 or 15 acres, and it had its own stables. It was quite the house. I mean, this house had 6 bathrooms. It had a library that was paneled in Cuban mahogany with 12-foot ceilings. And it had a butler pantry, you know, and underneath the dining room table you could take your foot and go, and of course the waiter or whoever would come out and serve you. Well, my husband thought that was hilarious, but anyway, because that would have been me. But it was a house that had kind of not been loved for a while, and it needed a lot of work. So my husband really spent a lot of time in painting and refinishing wood and refinishing floors. I had made custom drapes, you know, all the elaborate ones for the bay window and the various windows. I remember we found a fireplace like behind a wall, and we restored that whole thing. When I'm working outside, I was digging to put in some bulbs, and I find this big pond that we eventually restored, and we put koi in. I mean, we were always finding something neat there. So we loved that home. And we had really just put in a huge kitchen remodel. At the time, I think it was $40,000. It was the kitchen of my dreams. And it looked fantastic. So this day started out, we had a party in the morning for my son's kindergarten class, and they had a great time. In the library, we had a 10-foot real tree decorated with ornaments. I had my Santa collection and all the various mantles and various Christmas lights, decorations everywhere. I mean, we loved Christmas. So this happened about 5 o'clock. My husband and I were getting ready. We had to go to his work party, and we hated to go to that because we hadn't done it for 2 years, but we thought we can't make up any more excuses. But people would drink too much and make fools of themselves, and it just made us feel kind of uncomfortable. But I have my hair, you know, all done in electric curlers, and I'm out of the shower, I'm getting ready, and my oldest son, who was about 12 at the time, says, "Mom, I think I smell smoke upstairs." So I say, "Okay, stay here a minute." I run upstairs into my daughter's bedroom, and she was working at the mall at the time, and she had there was a little doorway and a little what we called a study. It was like a built-in desk area in her room, but between that she had put up a beaded curtain. So I just took the curtain back like this. It fell off in my hands, and I mean, I was taken out with like this smoke and toxic plastic fumes and everything. It just sucked my breath right away. I couldn't breathe, and I don't think I was thinking quite clearly, because I ran into that bathroom and turned on the shower because somehow, I don't know, that water was going to help me breathe. Well, there was a door right there onto the roof, because this was a strange house. There was a door onto a flat roof. The only thing we could figure is they would sunbathe on it. But I went out there, snow all over the roof, but I could get my breath back. I told everybody, stay downstairs, go call the fire department, but don't come up. So I was able to go back downstairs. We got the kids out. We got the golden retriever out. We started to get the cats out. There was 5 at the time, I think. We found 3 of them and threw them outside. We thought the rest probably were already outside. And we had a cockatiel. And I told my husband, "Oh, put a towel on the cockatiel, put it in the basement so it will be fine." Well, the fire department arrived pretty fast. I'm thinking, great, we're just going to lose that one area. You know, it's going to be hard on my daughter because she's going to lose all her belongings and her clothes, but at least that will be it, okay? So, unfortunately, we stood, my husband and I, outside our house for 8 hours while 5 different fire departments fought that fire. We were on a well. They had to bring in those big water trucks. And because, remember I said it had been remodeled, well, I guess like between some of that there was like spaces, and the fire would kind of go in there and then jump out somewhere else. I mean, the fire is kind of like a live being almost. It would just come out in areas and surprise everybody. So we realized it was getting worse and worse by the minute. And I thought, oh my God, the cockatiel's not going to make it. I said something to the fire, one of the firemen next to me, and he said he'd look for it in the basement. So he ran in the basement, he brought it out, and here it is. This is what there's news people, right, taking pictures, everything, and they're taking pictures of him rescuing the cockatiel in the cage and putting it in his heated cab. No one told me that I still have black over part of my face from upstairs. I didn't realize that. And my hair was still like, you know, where I'd taken the curlers out, you can kind of see where the curlers were. Thank God they featured the cockatiel instead of me, I guess. But we did have nice things happen. I mean, people stopped, asked if they could do anything. Some Good Samaritan just stopped by with these platters of sandwiches from McDonald's and hot coffee for the firemen and for us. Don't know to this day who it was, but what a wonderful thought when it is so cold outside while you're just standing there watching everything burn. Well, after about midnight, they thought they had the fire. We were told to wait till the next day to go inside. And the kids my husband already brought my sons to my mother, my daughter was staying with a girlfriend, and we went to my brother's condo. And my sister-in-law said, oh my God, the way you smell, so heavy of smoke. She gave us clothes to wear. She washed, I think like 3 different times our clothes, and you could still smell that smoke in my coat. So the next morning, we go there, and we found out that the fire actually started up again at 2 o'clock in the morning through the roof. They had to put it out. We also found out that my daughter was there, and she shouldn't have been. She was looking for her beloved Persian cat, Junior. She did find him completely soaked. He was hiding in the heat vents because he was a true scaredy cat. And so when the fire happened, he hid. And it's weird how your pets kind of do. The cats kind of took off. Our dog, our golden retriever, kept trying to run back into the house. It was just scared with all the people around. I think we finally had to lock him in a car. It's kind of like what you hear about horses, you know, running back into the stable on fire. But we finally got to open that door and walk inside. So we go in, living room, whatever. There's holes, you know, all over the ceiling where the water has come through so that the ceilings don't collapse. We're looking around, and you could see every once in a while where the fire kind of like came out in a corner or whatever. They had taken all my Santa collection that was on the various mantles, put it on the furniture, and tarped over it so to protect them. So I'm bringing back a tarp, and what had happened was the green and the red dye from the various Santas had went onto all the upholstered furniture and ruined the furniture. And of course the Santas weren't too hot either. But oh well, that's all stuff that can be replaced. I went in our bedroom and I had this big antique piece of furniture. I still have it, and it had a big marble top here. And inside that, it had big doors. I'd open it up, and that's where I kept all the kids' photo album. And believe it or not, even though so much else was ruined, water had fallen onto that marble and fell off on the floor, and we were able to get most of those pictures out and get them dry, and they were okay. So it's really nice for those memories. Well, went into the kitchen. Hey, looks like it's pretty good. Looks like the fire didn't get here. I think our kitchen's going to be okay. Well, then my husband and I started up the steps. and you kind of went up the steps and then around and then up. And that's when it got really, what to describe it, was spooky. It was just that charred wood, terrible, terrible smoky smell. And right on the right was our son's bedroom, and they had all those action figures, you know, and they were just like clumps of plastic, different colored plastic for the action figures. But the weird thing, all of a sudden one head would be completely okay in the middle of it, and everything else is a blob. I mean, everything in their rooms was ruined. So of course my daughter's room was a total loss. Anything upstairs was gone, and there was, you know, bare walls basically in a lot of areas that were just black, sooty char. So, but, you know, my husband and I talked about it, and we thought, you know what? Our children were fine. We were fine. Our pets all made it out. I mean, those are the important things. You lost some of the belongings, but the important things we still had. And things we gradually learned we lost more and more. 2 days later, when you went into the kitchen, we lost all the cabinets and everything in there because the water, they swelled way up and got misshapen, and it was all, what we had remodeled was all gone. Now, like I said, that was 3 days before Christmas. My daughter, it was very important. She lost all of her cosmetics. I mean, what could be worse for a 16-year-old girl? So I remember we'd go to Target, we'd try to replace some of her cosmetics, we'd come out to the car. I had a van at the time. Kids get in, I slam the van door, and it came off. The whole van door. It was like somebody had to bring rope to us and we tie it on. It was not enough. We were homeless, but we had a very unusual looking van now too. And you know, that's kind of when my anger kind of broke out, was when that happened. But I never shed a tear. I never really got that angry. Again, I had to remember what we were blessed with. But it was just like, oh, that's the last straw. Really, the van door falls off. But for Christmas Eve, we spent it at a hotel locally, and they had the rule, I guess it's the Mary Joseph room at the stable rule, because you stay free if something like this happens to you, which was very nice because our insurance would have paid for it. But again, so many people were so nice to us. And so Christmas morning, we had saved what toys we could from the house, but they all smelled so terrible of smoke. It was a very unusual Christmas morning, but my oldest son was very surprised because he wanted a new bicycle, and he thought there was no chance, but we had hid it behind the desk at the hotel, and we sent him out to get something, and he saw his new bicycle, so he was very excited. We tried to still make it a special day for the kids, and then we were with family the rest of the time, which is what was important. We were out of that house for 9 months. For a while, we didn't know if it's going to be a total loss or they were going to rebuild certain of the areas. It was a very difficult kind of family time because we lived in hotels and rented condos, I think 4 different places during this time. So going forward in this series, I want to share what happened with the insurance company and after the fire for the 9 months we were out of the home, and what you can do to prevent something happening, or if it does happen, what you should do. And then we are also going to talk about the importance of a whole house inventory. Because believe me, we were thinking still 10 years later, it'd be like, oh, that's right, that was in the fire. There was no way everything got replaced. You just can't think of everything. So a whole house inventory is really important. But right now, I'd love to hear, have you ever been in a house fire? Are you one of those 25%? If so, how long were you out? And what lessons did you learn in your house fire? This is Prepper Potpourri saying please subscribe, share the knowledge, and next week we'll find out what the aftermath of a fire is really like.